Hopefully, most people in this room are familiar with who ITV are. If not, I'll just give a quick potted overview of who we are. So ITV is the UK's largest commercial broadcaster. We date back over 60 years. We reach a weekly audience of more than 38 million people. We produce hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of content both for ourselves and for broadcasters around the world. A lot of production happens in ITV. However, we're in a very rapidly changing industry. Our audiences are changing. Where they go to consume our content is changing. There's new competition springing up at times, at Netflix and YouTube and Facebook. And we need to be ready to react to that and respond to that change and go and find our audiences. So we are a commercial broadcaster, and what we sell is an audience. If you're being cynical, what we actually sell is people's attention, and we happen to make TV programs to attract that attention. And different programs will attract different audiences. They're different ages, different demographics. That's where my department, ATS, airtime sales, comes in. So we're responsible for selling advertising on broadcast television. We cover the whole life cycle of ad spots. So we have teams that go out and they do deals with advertisers, and they can spread over many years. We have commercial analysts who are using historical ratings information. They'll be working out what's coming up in the schedule, what the predicted rating is going to be. Then we have teams that will take that information and then they'll price the schedule. So they'll go to the advertisers with the price for spots in the coming month. So we have a monthly cycle of ad campaigns within those deals. And then we go to the advertisers, give them a price, and they'll place spots with us. And placing spots is mostly an automated process. There are certain boundaries, or there are parameters for the campaign. So advertisers want to reach a certain demographic, and they'll want to have a certain level of audience, and certain times of day, and certain programs, and there are certain positions in break that are more valuable than others. So people tend to pay attention at the start of the break and the end of the break, so we value those more highly. And then there are softer requirements. So some advertisers want to appear in certain prestige programs. Get me an X Factor spot, get me a Britain's Got Talent spot. And there are some advertisers that will only give us what we call late money. So they'll only commit to buying spots very close to transmission. They'll come with a big bag of money, get me a spot. So we'll think, yes, we'll take that, we'll find you somewhere. And that can happen a couple of days before transmission. So we have this constantly moving window of this transmission. So there's still this human element. A lot of that happens over the phone and face-to-face. As we approach transmission, that's when the compliance team take over. So they are checking for some things that are regulatory. So we can only show a certain number of minutes in an hour or a day of adverts. We can only show some adverts after the watershed or not in children's programming, like no high-fat adverts inside children's programs. And some of these requirements are advertiser-led. So Tesco will not want to be in an ad break with Sainsbury's. An airline will not want to be in an ad break in a program with air crashes in it. And that can happen quite close to transmission. So if in the news there's an airline, there's an air crash, suddenly we've got to take all of these airline and holiday ads out of the news. And this can happen hours before transmission. People are just shuffling all these spots around. And it's the compliance team that have the final say on that, and they make sure that all the ad copy has been sent off to the transmission centres and goes on air. And about a week after transmission, we get the ratings back from Barb. So the Barb panels around the country, they're totting up who's seen what, and that all gets fed back into the start of the process for pricing up next month's schedule. And then at the end of the month, we work out how many impacts, how many eyeballs all of the ads saw, and we write the invoices out, send them out, and we get paid. And ultimately, last year, the software that we manage in our team was responsible for about £1.7 billion in advertising revenue through that software. Advertising on television dates back to the very start of ITV. That's what ITV is in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of legacy in there. ITV is actually 12 different companies. It was the original 12 franchise holders for Channel 3 and ITV in the UK. And over the years, all those companies merged together until there were the last two standing. Granada and Carlton were the last two big boys left, and they came together, and ITV was formed in 2004. But all of those franchises still exist. You can still buy on ITV1 a Granada spot that will be shown to a Granada audience and not to any other audience. And this actually happens in almost every ad break. At some point in that ad break, people in Granada are going to be seeing one advert, people in Yorkshire are going to see a different one, people in London are going to see a different advert, people in the Meridian are going to see a different advert. In almost every ad break. It's it massively complicates what we're trying to do. If only we could get rid of it. But if you squint, it's a bit like targeted advertising. If you think about it, that's the story we're trying to tell anyway. So each of these companies had their own processes and their own historical ways of doing business and selling adverts. And they've all been crammed together into this one organization. And this was not, it's not what you describe as agile. So ATS embarked on a program of modernization. So we had all of these single-use applications, desktop apps, terminal apps. That at the bottom there, that was actually a piece of software that was used daily to manage some of our ad inventory. Everybody crowded around when it was turned off, it was counted down. And we want to build these more modern web applications and build a platform for ITV to manage advertising across all of our different channels. This would have meant moving all 300 users and all of the business activity in airtime sales in one weekend. There was the potential for drama to overtake us. So people had visions of that £1.7 billion being put at risk. And there was a lot of visibility, there was a lot of distrust. We heard they a lot as the program went on. The original proof of concept for this program was 5 years ago. It's taken that long to get here. And so we need to build up that trust to stop these problems becoming more of a dramas. And there's a lot of fear as well. The migration had already been postponed several times. There have been a lot of unexpected performance problems. Business processes have been overlooked. Integrations with third-party integrations that nobody knew about and suddenly popped up at the last minute. And we'd done so much to get it right this time, and we had to have the right answers.
Dear, final answer. And you know, so you don't.
I'm not even going to look at the screen. That's the correct answer. It isn't. What? It is a deer, isn't it? Not a deer. I've seen them in Africa boinging along like deers. Oh no, you've just lost. £15,000.
I love the timing on goat coming up. It's perfect. So to build that trust, we started with end users and we worked in. So we instrumented all of our applications in New Relic, from the browser to APM into the infrastructure. And we built dashboards that were focused purely on that one weekend. What were the most important things we needed to know about that go live weekend? And we shared those dashboards all around the product owners and the business owners in the department. We put them on giant TVs all around the office. We got plenty of TVs, that wasn't a problem. Everybody could see what was going on. There were no secrets, nothing was hidden. We could see those problems coming and we could react to them very quickly and stop them becoming a drama. See, that's my boss up there. You can see he's pointing to when we went live. The numbers started to go up. So this is it. We've reached our tipping point. And how did it go? It was a great success. In the end, the go-live weekend was completely frictionless, enormous success. It was the biggest anticlimax since Y2K. The most significant incident we had over that weekend was on the Saturday, when we had this huge database slowdown. All user testing stopped for minutes. This is a big deal. So this could trigger a rollback of the whole migration. This could kill the whole thing. The business owners are getting a bit twitchy, and support getting ready to launch this P1 incident. This could be a big deal. And if we fail at this weekend, it could be another 6 months before we try again, before we get another window in the schedule where people are willing to try again. So we leapt into action, got into New Relic, and we very quickly found the culprit. So we built a feature shortly before go live that was specifically for the support team to be able to see if anybody was causing performance problems. Built in a bit of a hurry, and it turned out that it had been built in such a way that basically just locked the database for minutes on end. I completely killed it dead. And we had a lot of things that were integrated to this database. So, okay. We quickly built a New Relic dashboard. Can you please use this instead? And we'll quietly shuffle this onto our backlog, and then we'll deal with it another time. And in the end of it, we were out of the office and in the pub by Saturday afternoon. And then we were in the future. 5 years building up to this singular moment. And now what? This is all we've been thinking about for all this time. But we wanted to keep the conversations going. We wanted to build on that momentum, the times and the conversation we had and the improved communication. So we adopted the SRE model. And we spent the weeks after go live building up a picture, a baseline of what good looks like for these applications. Some of these have been feature complete for a year or more with no users. We had no idea what the performance characteristics of the software was. So we spent that time building up the numbers, and we had these conversations with the business owners. What are the SLAs? What are we going to commit to? What do you expect from us? And we built these dashboards. So it's a dashboard of one of the applications here, and these are the key metrics that we pulled out and we agreed to. And the more we shared, the more we communicated in this common language, the more trust we built up. It's like, oh, we can talk to each other. There's no more they. We're trying to work together in the same goal here. And in the tension of the last few months of the program, there was very much an us versus them attitude on both sides. And it wasn't, I'm not going to say that it was on one side or the other. And when we started discussing our expectations, what we wanted to get from the software and what they wanted to get from the software, because ultimately it's why we do it, right? We build software to support our business goals. Very little software is there for its own sake. And we were very public about verifying it. Any time they can go and see that we're actually committing to, we're holding our end of the bargain up. It really helped with the trust on both sides. And a really interesting thing happened. One of our business owners came over to me and said, "What's this mean?" He showed me an insights query. So we'd given them all accounts over the go-live weekend so they could look at dashboards and run basic queries. And we didn't turn those off. We didn't disable the accounts. And they kept using them. And they started learning, and they went off and did new Relic University training. And they started asking questions and doing queries. Questions like, what are our users actually doing? Who's talking to whom? What horse trading is happening outside of our systems that we can't see? How efficiently are we using our airtime? Questions like this one. So when we integrated the applications, we added some custom attributes. You can see the username there. And we put some structure into our interaction names. So what this is asking is, over the course of a week, what users have been interacting with spots, it's the SP, so moving ad spots around. Who's doing it? What are they doing to? And then the question is, well, why are they doing it? We've gone to all this effort to automatically place them into the schedule. Now they're fiddling with them. And it turns out there are all kinds of interesting patterns in here. Some users would hoard ad inventory, not intended to go out on air, but just so they could use it for another campaign later in the month, closer to transmission. Because there was no native way for them to do that. So this is their workaround. I'm going to put all these spots over here and hold on to them and then release them again later. Some groups were trading spots, and they say, oh, I want your Coronation spots, or your Coronation Street spot. And you take this stack of tenable spots in response. We even found one user who was essentially doing airtime delivery modeling by moving a whole load of spots around, having a look, and then moving them all back again. It's like, come and talk to us. We can build something better than this. There's got to be a better answer to this. But this was all completely invisible to us. This is all happening outside of our systems. All we can see is spot movements. It's all happening face to face. So we started doing some detective work. And we started gathering our evidence, and we were investigating how are people using these systems. So a lot of the modernization program was really focused on feature parity. We need the same features we had at the start and the end. Are people really using these features? We didn't know. And so we started measuring them. Now we could start prioritizing and making quantitative judgments about the work we're doing. How much value will it deliver? How should we prioritize it? Is there a cost of delay on this work? And now we're really in the future. ITV, it turns out, doesn't do future programs. It's costume dramas, yes. Future, not so much. So we're starting to now look to log business objects directly. Campaign delivery, airtime efficiency, spot churn. That's something we're really interested in. How often do ad spots get moved around? Is there a pattern to it? Does it happen at certain times of the month as we're moving up to transmission? Who's talking to whom, who to do it? And those are really interesting questions. And we're now trying to measure ourselves not as a software organization, which is originally what we got New Relic for. It's been really interesting to see this change. Originally, we got New Relic in because we wanted confidence that our performance was, as software, that our performance was going to be good. But then it started to evolve into how is our business working? We're measuring our business. So we're not measuring ourselves as a software organization anymore. We're measuring ourselves as an advertising business. And so 5 years later, and a few months, where do we find ourselves? So the things we learned, obviously, is that communication, visibility, observability, absolutely key. All of the fear that had built up, all of the distrust that had built up was just a lack of communication between the business and the technology sides of the company. It's historically quite separate. And now we're communicating much more. Everybody's working together towards a shared goal. We have a much better understanding of what we're trying to do in the organization, how they want to sell ad space, and how we need to adapt in the future to meet the new markets. And we're far more aligned, and we're in a far better position to meet the challenges of the changing marketplace. Thank you. I don't think I have time for questions, looking at the clock. Thank you.